Hello, everyone. It is Tuesday, December 9th at a little after 4 p.m. and I will call this meeting of the Block Island Housing Board to order. Our first agenda item is public input. Not seeing anyone in the public, I will move on to the second item. Second item is to act and approve minutes of October 28th, 2025. I will make a motion to approve those minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? Have people had a chance to look at them? All good? All in favor of approving the minutes? Aye. Okay. Third item is review and approve the financial reports. I will make a motion to approve the financial reports. Oh, I made one. All right. So I had one question. I just want to clarify. There are two reports, right? There's one that talks about, hold on. So many things open now. Okay, there's one about our income, and our assets right now are 1,378. And then there's one on statement of activity. So this is just year-to-date tax payments and interest, and then other outgoing expenses. As the year goes on, as next year goes on, we should pay close attention to this one because we'll start expending money. So I just wanted to point that out to everyone. Okay, all in favor of approving the financial reports? Aye. Okay. Next agenda item, hold on, is approve the 2026 Housing Board meeting schedule. Have you all had a chance to look at it? Here, I can pull it up. It is difficult to plan that far ahead. In fact, so in the last couple of days, I've realized I won't be able to make the January 27th meeting. I also would like to propose a special meeting on January, the first 2 weeks of January. January 6th looks good because I'd like to focus on the subcommittee's evaluation of our proposals, of the proposals we received. So what's the best way to do this? Okay, because the 13th is another option. Is that, or the second week is another option? The 6th, I thought was a Tuesday. Yeah. And the 13th is a Tuesday. We can meet, yeah, okay.
Somewhere later than 4. Basically at 7.
I think, yeah. But we could, is that better for everyone? Is it better for everyone to do later in the summer? No, it's not. You prefer to do it at 4? Okay, okay. All right. I didn't. All right, so I'm gonna make a motion to approve the 2026 meeting schedule.
So. Instead of the 27th? Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay, we do it instead of? Sure. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's all right with me. So I will make a motion to approve the 2026 meeting schedule with one amendment, and that is the January meeting will move to January 13th at 4 p.m. All in favor? Aye.
Can I just make a request that you send an email out, just like, so Cindy will know, because I know when I miss meetings and then I don't know that we changed it. then I don't know how to plan it, so. Or-
Yes. We can send a notice out with the new schedule. Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Next agenda item number 5 is discuss microgrid study. Chris, I'm going to hand this over to you in a sec, but I think we've been awarded a study on the microgrid. Is that correct? And if it's not-
That is correct.
Okay, so where should we go from here with that?
Uh, NREL gave us a list of basically questions or research issues, and I divided them up into the committee, I mean, the board, the town, and the power company. And the town was tasked with confirming the pre-selected shelters or structures that I thought would be part of this microgrid and to edit as necessary. Today, I got an email from them stating that they agreed with what I had proposed, with the exception of the harbor facility, because they didn't really have a harbor account. And then I mentioned that I thought that a harbor facility operating after a significant weather event was pretty important, and if they would consider trying to identify that. In any case, we have almost all the critical load facilities identified. That allows me now to go to the power company and request load data on those facilities. And so that part is in motion. I think for the board, the question is, how would you like the study results to be communicated to the board? And they gave us a couple of choices, and we're not restricted to those choices. One is PowerPoint presentation, and one is basically a technical report, like a white paper. And the concept of this microgrid study is to create what I would term a resilient island infrastructure in the event that we would lose power, electrical power from the mainland for any reason. Microgrids have a bunch of redundant power supplies built into them, and we are extremely unique in that we have a 5 megawatt diesel plant that we can use as part of our backup. Would allow this island to exist for quite some time. But without those 3 components being integrated, it would be really chaotic in order to manage the island. So what does this have to do with the housing board? The housing board has potentially 16 solar projects that have been funded through the RUSA Foundation and the Block Island Solar Initiative. And so we are a significant exporter of power into a microgrid in the event that it would be necessary. So this gives us an in with NREL to be part of a study, and they will, use this not just for the housing board. This is actually for the whole island. We just are the lever that gets the study going. So really the question to summarize is, do you have a preference for how you would like the results of the study to be communicated to you as a board member?
I'd say the PowerPoint the white paper would probably not be very useful to me.
I agree with that. Although I would enjoy the white paper, but I think it's most consumable in a PowerPoint form for most people.
As simple.
Hmm.
Okay, and remember, it's for not just us, but I think, whatever we get is going to be public information, so it will be open to the community.
Is this something that would also be presented to the town council, or just the power company, or?
No, I think it should be all entities, the town and the power company, definitely, because the power company would be operating the microgrid, and the town is the critical facilities, has the critical facilities that need to function in order to keep the, the glue of the island together so we can service our population. So I think both entities, the power company and the town, are pretty critical.
Do you need a motion by us, or is it just the discussion is good as?
I think discussion's good. They just wanted
Okay.
feedback.
Okay. Anything else on that one?
No, I'm just gonna get my homework.
Okay. And you sent out homework, Chris, right? You sent out homework for us? Okay, all right. Item 6 is discuss Rhode Island State infrastructure grants. This is kind of a catch-all. And the reason we put it on here is to encourage everyone to sign up for notifications of Rhode Island State infrastructure grants. I will say that I am lapsed doing that. I think Chris has signed up for notifications. I did get an email from Jen Brady about an infrastructure grant. Unfortunately, it was just too late. Some of them just expired. Some of the deadlines for submission just expired in the last 2 weeks. But looking forward to next year, I think we should all try to register to get notifications. More notifications, the better, to keep it on everyone's radar. And there are significant grants out there. And I will say that I think it's better to be very proactive in applying for these grants. If the grants come with strings attached, the board can decide those things later. We can decide to accept or not accept based on the strings. But moving forward with grant applications, I think, is a good thing. To do that, we need to be notified and have enough time. On some of these grants, the town is offered to help us put the application together. It was just the timeline was so short on the last couple that we just couldn't do it. But in the future, we should all keep our eyes on whatever infrastructure grant money is possible. So that's it on that one. Chris, do you have anything to add to that?
No, you hit a pretty good point that most of us are not aware of, and I was not aware of how short, even with proper notification, the deadline is for turning in a proposal. So to me, this means people know, or entities know, that these grants are going to be coming and they prepare for that. Because otherwise, I don't know how anybody could turn around and a couple months of good proposal. And some of those deadlines are, within 2 months of issuance of notice. So we have to kind of have a boilerplate in place on how we can quickly put together a response to these. I was shocked at how short of a time period there was between notice and the due date on some of these. It was just, so it makes you realize that they already know this is coming,
Yeah.
and they've prepared for it.
Yeah.
So we need to somehow get into that arena and get a heads up on these things.
Yeah, I don't know, Heidi, but I think it's a good idea to research. I'm sorry?
We used to do it.
We can actually, we know who the entities are that are putting these out for response. We can make it a standing offer to them to try to, like, through communication, look, are you planning on anything for the next year? We would like just to know what your thoughts are and see if that gives us an entree into receiving a heads up.
I wonder if anything for they expose it to a website, since we have a website now. Maybe if it's like to their benefit to have it exposed more. I don't know if they want it exposed more, but maybe we could offer that they can put it on our site, or would that help? I don't know.
I think
You know
it's,
what I mean?
I think it's the other way around.
The other way.
We have to go to them, and
Yeah.
they do have their issuance. It's every week. Yeah, and a lot of them don't apply. So they issue through their website what they have. And I don't think we're going to be successful if we ask them to put it to our website. I don't think the state works that way.
Yeah, I was, when I finally did get to the website, I was, yeah, there is a lot of money. Yeah.
There.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed that way. But when I went to the website, to check, I was both surprised by the timeline, but I was also surprised by the amount of money and also the difficulty of the website. It is not, application friendly, from my point of view, but maybe it's just that I haven't spent enough time with it. So, so anyway, I think what we can do, Chris and I will try to distribute the right way to get these notifications, and then if everyone just spends a few minutes to sign up and who sometimes somebody will miss it and sometimes somebody won't, and it's good to have more eyes on it. So, all right, so we'll go ahead and do that. Item 7 is the O'Brien Affordable Housing Development. And really the first two bullets under that, infrastructure and flagging proposals, are tied together. So let me talk about infrastructure for a bit. I've spent many hours going through Transu's invoices and having meetings with them to discuss how they can be more user-friendly and provide us the information we need. I'm not finished that process yet, but it's getting better. There has been some growth in the original proposal that was done in early 2023. I would say it's probably 15 to 20% on the estimate. We have only contracted for the trunk line. But I want to provide the whole board with a comprehensive comprehensive cost analysis of the infrastructure, where it started in 2023 and where it is now, what we have paid so far, what's remaining. I have decided I'll break it down into phases. So the trunk line we'll call phase 1, and I'll provide analysis of where we are financially in phase 1, and then what the follow-on phases are to complete the infrastructure. That being said, we also don't want to slow down the work. We want to continue moving forward. So I have been thinking about how best to move forward in the context of the board, and our meetings once a month and decisions that have to be made, perhaps in between those dates. It's challenging to get special meetings and all that. So I wanted to throw out an idea before I make a motion, of putting together a subcommittee to manage that effort, to manage the infrastructure effort. In my mind, the subcommittee would be something, I don't know, I would ideally have 3 people. The subcommittee would be authorized by the board to manage the infrastructure activity on a consensus basis. That's important to me because so the subcommittee would have to have a consensus of 3 people. And if they don't, then the decision would come to the board. But essentially, the subcommittee would be managing the infrastructure project and reporting to the board at their monthly meetings. An alternative to that is to hire someone to do it, but I think that might be expensive and perhaps not necessary, given where we are on the project now. But I'd like to, what do people think of that?
I think that sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, I think it is a good idea.
Between the management of the work and the management of the billing, having someone stay focused on that. I think, we kind of have a lot going on right now between all the subcommittee for the bidding process as well as the ongoing work.
Yeah.
There's a lot to manage.
Um, would people be interested? Who would be interested in helping with that? So here's what it entails. As well, I would make a motion, but before I do that, here's what I think it entails. And that is working to ensure that the activity we paid for and are planning to pay for is getting completed and getting funded properly, that we're paying invoices for the work that has been completed or the work we know is going to happen in the near future.
I wouldn't feel qualified to do that.
I was gonna say, if you need somebody to take good notes, I could do that. But other than that, I don't feel qualified. But
I mean, I'm willing to help in any way I can, but I don't know how much I could actually help. I mean, I could go by the site, but I don't really know.
Yeah, so I felt like that as well.
I don't mind doing it, but I'm already on one subcommittee, so
Sure.
if I got off of that one and got on another one, I just don't want to be on two. So.
Sure. Yeah, understand. I just, I feel this is what I think. So I've been spending, as I said, many hours with Bain and with his invoices and with project planning. And I'm comfortable doing it, but I want to, well, I want to have help, one, but I also want to be agile enough to operate and to look through all of these numbers without waiting to do it once a month. So
Is this something we're gonna need again and again?
it is, I
Then
think.
why don't we consider hiring someone that is capable of focusing only on that?
That is another option.
Because if it's something that's gonna happen through the entire project, then, if the project's important and we're spending a lot of money on it, it's probably better to have someone that's focused on it, that's being paid, and that's their job.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be a part-time thing for someone, obviously, but because it would just make sense, because then it's not only a job we're hiring for them right now, but it would be continued job until the project's done. I feel like if we might get like delayed on something if something isn't done right or approved, or you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Unless it's someone's job to be doing it.
Right.
That's just how I feel.
Yeah, that's the other alternative, is either a subcommittee does it or we hire someone to do
I
it.
just don't know if we have enough people on the board that are qualified enough besides Josh to be the subcommittee.
Yeah.
Josh and you.
Yeah.
To be the subcommittee, and then, you guys probably don't want this entire project being on your back.
Well, I think it's, like we said, I think it's like a two-part job. Like one part is just managing the numbers, which I think a lot of people on this board are qualified to do. We've got the initial bid and we've been working off little bits of it as things get done and work gets added, but one part of it is just keeping track of the numbers and the billing and the invoicing.
And I'm happy to do that bit.
But maybe you're the approval process for the person that we hire. They have to run everything by you before anything's, like, they can't make the decision. They have to run it by you too, or something before it's made. But they're keeping track of it all. I just feel like, and this is my opinion, everyone might not feel that way, but if we mess up because we don't have time for the subcommittee, it might cost us money in the project or delay time. So putting forth, the money to hire someone to have them focus on it, and maybe it's someone that's learning how to manage projects, or, we can, I don't know, do we have to bid for something like that?
It's about balancing the books.
It's both. It's managing the project and then looking at invoices and making sure that, like, someone said, I put that thing in the ground and it's there,
Yeah.
you gotta make sure the thing's in the ground and that they did it right and charging the amount.
Yeah, it's keeping tabs on the work being done and keeping tabs on the billing, kind of off the base contract price that we got from Bain
Yeah.
from day one. And he's incrementally doing work and we're incrementally paying him out of that and just keeping track of all that. So
Yeah, like if he's charging us to bury a pipe, we need to make sure the pipe was buried and that it was buried properly before we pay him.
Charged what he said he was gonna charge.
Yeah, there was got a little, sorry,
Go ahead.
it got a little convoluted there when we did the road work because like he kind of had to backtrack a little and things got paused. And so then
Yeah,
it was a little confusing with the money. It all worked out, but yeah, it's really just kind of keep track of that and make sure obviously Bain's doing what he says he's doing. It's more just seems like a lot.
managing it,
Hmm?
managing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's understanding where, what Josh just said, but also understanding what elements of the original proposal have experienced cost growth. Or if things changed, like the West Side Road paving was a change. And so we have to understand how much that change cost, and how it fits in or compares with the original proposal. I'm in the process of doing that now. But we also want to do that and continue the project, right? So there's some smart things we can do now, to continue the project. But those things might be, so I'm working through some of these numbers and I've asked Bain for a new proposal for, I'll call it phase two for lack of a better word right now, but the next steps on what he would do. Now, those next steps, I think are going to be running the lines all the way to the end of the property, installing 2 new manholes on the road, installing a fire hydrant at the end of the property, and installing and capping the laterals off that main line, so that they'll be ready for when we're ready to do the foundations, which will be phase 3 or 4. I'm not sure. So there's just lots of activity that we want to continue moving forward with.
I mean, is it I'm gonna ask you, because is there someone that can do that? Like, is that, or like, is hiring someone that can do that possible? Because they have to be. Yes. Could it be someone that like Michelle that's retiring a little bit, that might want to
That's
do
another good
something?
idea. Doug Michelle, he floated Mark Tilson.
Yeah.
Someone like that's got a firm grasp on this kind of stuff and is here and around and
And it's
might have the
like
time.
full time, but it's for a good cause and they're making a little bit of money and
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I just want to make sure that there could be someone that could, if we're gonna,
Oh, yeah, there
go
are.
that route.
Yeah, I think there are.
Yeah.
That would be terrific. I don't know either of those guys well. Who knows them well enough to ask them about if they're interested in
I
this?
think we'd have to formally, I think it's hard, I find it hard to ask, because then I think it would be a formal, like, letter to them or note or an email saying, we're considering this, we need this help, would you look at it? Like a more professional rather than going up and talking to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I thought an initial take from either one of them would be
I know them both well enough to test the waters.
Yeah.
And if it
you
was
test the
like,
water.
then we could send it out.
Yeah.
If we knew, okay, it's possibility.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that?
I'm
I mean,
willing
and
to do
if
that,
they
sure.
don't want to, maybe they have ideas of someone that might.
Yeah, well, I think between those two suggestions,
Yeah.
I think both of them would be qualified and able to do it
Yeah.
if they wanted to.
That would be great. So, yeah, just,
I just feel like this is gonna be big. We're gonna keep coming up to this. And, right now it's winter, so, we feel like we have all this time, but really the big stuff's gonna be happening in spring and summer. And, what it's like then. And you know, we don't want to be delayed 3 months because we haven't had time to do it as a volunteer board. You know, I
Yeah.
think it's,
Right.
it's important enough project with a big amount of money that we're spending to get someone in there that's their job to do it.
I agree, 100%. So let's try to do this in parallel maybe.
Very
So
good.
Josh, you'll just have a verbal with each of them. But I'll make a motion now to send formal letters to potential
Hire.
infrastructure management hires who will manage the infrastructure project for the board. Yeah, that's it. Did you get that? Okay.
Was that a motion?
That was a motion.
Second, that's what he calls it.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So there we go.
And we should revisit it next meeting, to see where we are.
Yep. Let's,
And
yeah,
it go from there, you know, they might be like, absolutely not, and then we've got to figure it out.
right.
I was thinking on the lines of like, you know, someone that's wanting to get into the business, that would be kind of gung ho about, you know, like an intern kind of thing.
But also, these are both two retired people who
Yeah,
might
yeah.
want to get
It's
back in the
for-
game a little bit.
spectrum. Yeah, I think either one,
Yeah.
you know,
It's that job, right?
yeah, he was on the housing board too.
But Doug is also tied up with the public safety complex, so you might want to take that into consideration.
Mm,
He travels in the winter too.
Mm.
What's the public safety?
The fire
Oh, yeah, yeah,
building,
Mm.
he's
we're just trying to keep him busy.
No requirement.
Mark Tilson's a good fit,
He's a good bet too.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and he
Good.
knows everything.
Yeah, and he's here. He does house watching all winter,
Yeah.
so he's on the road and moving around.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah. And I guess if we think of someone else, then we mention it.
Yeah.
Okay, next item is review and act on funding proposals.
May recall at one of our last meetings, we talked about asking GM2 to flag the property, at least partially for now. I think we said it was premature to do the foundations, but some of this work on the property to continue the utility lines and install the additional manholes and the hydrant all require flagging, surveying and flagging. So the response, I think you have it, was sent out. The response from GM2 was very lukewarm and would rather get someone else. So Josh talked with Ken Cole at Atlas, and Ken has agreed. Ken gave us a proposal, and we have Ken for a few more days before he turns into a pumpkin. I guess goes to Florida. Yeah. So
He does come back and forth though sometimes.
well, he said he would not come to the island until March.
And Cole,
Cole.
He's related to Gail Hines somehow, I think nephew or cousin.
I think it's through his wife, maybe.
Yes. Yeah.
He's
So.
great. He's really good at his job.
So I would like to approve his proposal. The initial part of which we want to constrain to what Bain requires to take this next step, which can be completed between now and March. And that is to survey the property and flag the locations of the two manholes that belong on the property, where the laterals will come off, and the fire hydrant. Any additional flagging that we'll need from Ken can be done later. But his proposal has an initial cost and then a cost for follow-on visits. Excuse me. So I'm going to make a proposal to award that flagging contract to Atlas based on the proposal they submitted. And to begin, have the initial work of flagging the manholes, the fire hydrant, the main line into the property, and the laterals before he leaves for his trip south.
Yeah.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? Have people had a chance to look at that proposal?
I did get a text from Ken, saying that Bain has asked for, in particular, he has asked for the 2 manholes and buildings 1 through 4. I have not had a chance to speak to Bain to find out what that's about as far as just 1 through 4 and not the other 4 buildings. He did not seem to be interested in having the roadway flagged right now.
Yeah, so my discussion with Bain also was that he can, if he has the 2 manholes flagged, he can manage the main line, but he doesn't need the whole road flagged at this point.
Okay, so he doesn't intend on finishing or creating a roadway right now with road base or anything like that?
Not yet, no, not that I know of, but
Okay, and do we know why he only wants 4 buildings flagged as opposed to the other ones?
I think he's heard the discussion of we might only start with 4 buildings, but I'm not certain.
Okay. All right.
Do we want to do all 8? I thought one of our last meetings, we thought all 8 was premature, but we do have Ken for this window if he can do it. I don't know. So how do people think?
I guess we never really discussed what buildings, if we do this in phases, what buildings we would be doing, what locations.
Right.
So I don't really know,
Oh,
and which buildings are 1 through 4? They're the ones going in on the right? They're the ones.
I don't know, but I think that's Bain's interpretation. Yeah.
yeah, maybe that's Bain's ideas. Those would be the best ones to do first. Maybe we ask him, did he decide on 1 through 4 because they were the best ones to do first? Or is he just
I
picking
don't know.
1 through 4 because they're 1 through 4?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have an answer to that.
I mean, does it matter? I
I
mean, like, for
mean,
you?
not particularly,
Versus
because
the other.
in March, we could have them flag the other 4 and, if,
Will the flag stay there for that long?
I don't think they'll last,
No.
with all the site work, they'll
gonna
eventually
do it again.
disappear. Yeah, that's why I didn't really understand actually flagging the 4 corners of the building as opposed to just marking the lateral locations.
Right.
But maybe he wants to get them to a certain point with the building before he caps them, so it's less digging later.
Yeah.
But again, I didn't have a chance to talk to him about that.
Do Ken and Bain talk?
Yeah,
Oh, so maybe between the 2 of them, they know why they wanted that.
I mean, Ken's just doing what he's told, so
Okay.
I think that's what Bain asked him to do. And I don't have any issue with it. I was just kind of
Yeah.
curious how he got to that building 1 through 4.
I guess I would think that if he needs something flagged for the laterals, then I would think we want to do all 8 for the laterals and the caps, right? Is that?
If he plans on getting that all done between now and March, then yeah. I mean, Ken will be there, I believe, tomorrow or Friday, right? One of those 2 days. So, it's something we could still discuss with him.
Is it easier for him to do it all at once? Because he's there, or
Not really.
it doesn't matter? Okay.
No.
I think it's only a matter of what we want to have done in connection with what Bain is recommending be the next step. So I thought that was the manholes to the end of the property and the lines to the end of the property and the laterals. But we can ask that question too. I mean, so if we award the contract to Ken, we can decide what's done now and what's done when he returns in March. Again, this would be a good thing for our manager to take on.
Yeah, because Bain can't do his work until Ken does his work, right?
That's right.
So we should probably do as much as we can, just in case he can get more work done, right?
Yeah.
That would make the most sense.
Yeah, and I'd like,
Provide-
I'm sorry.
Provided the flagging has integrity to last until March. That's,
Well, I mean, it could be a mild winter, it could be, he could get more done, and if he had to stop at the beginning of February because it wasn't completed, then that would suck.
Yeah, I still don't understand.
I could.
And maybe when he's saying flag the buildings, he's asking for like a stake, I don't see the need to flag all four corners of every building right now.
Okay.
Um,
I'm just trying to say, like, if it stops Bain because we decided not to do it all, then we should consider doing it all, if it's gonna stop him from working.
so I know Bain has told me affirmatively that he does not need
More than.
four corners of the foundations
Oh, okay.
staked at this point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I don't think it'll stop his work.
No,
So all in favor?
I,
I'm just
Aye.
not even sure what I'm in favor of.
Awarding the contract. to
Yes.
Ken. Okay, the next one, review and act on architectural proposal. This is the proposal from the local architect who was recommended to us by Barbara Vestor and Eleanor. I think a lot of it depends on the award of the actual building contract. So I'm going to table this one for now.
Yeah.
I wanted to give a short status of the subcommittee evaluation process on the bids. Thea,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, yes, Thea, yeah. So the subcommittee evaluation process. So the subcommittee is myself and Josh, and Jerry Noonan has volunteered to help us out. We have gone through some back and forth with all except one of the bidders. One of the bidders has not responded to our initial question
At all.
at all. And I sent a follow-up and they still haven't responded. That is the Pisana. Pisana is the one that hasn't responded. But we've had some good back and forth with the others, including initial discussions about a cost breakdown. Not all of the proposals came in with a cost breakdown, so we've gotten that information. We've had one Zoom meeting with one of the bidders, and we'll have some others coming up. We are also checking references. Excuse me. We're checking references and asking about similar projects that they have done. And so we're making progress.
Thank you.
I think that we will have a recommendation in January, which is why I want that meeting. We'll put together a PowerPoint proposal and we will we'll provide a recommendation from the board with all the information they want to take our recommendation or switch to someone else.
Yeah.
So that's where we are right now. Anything to add, Josh?
no, not right now.
Okay.
Mark, I do just have a question. When it comes to, and maybe the timing is appropriate now, but when it comes to looking for architectural services, this is something that we'll have to go out to bid.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know if that's appropriate to be doing now or thinking about after the.
Yeah.
Could we start working on that bid while everything's going on?
We could,
Do we?
because we can put it out to bid and not necessarily award it. One of the things I want to understand, and I don't understand it well enough now, is whether all of the things that Thea's proposal provides can be provided by the bidders. So that's a,
I don't know if unless we plan on altering the design in some way, I think that the drawings we have would be sufficient for the modular home company to turn into their workable drawings. Yeah. As well as if we add any little custom tweaks like porch roofs or anything like that, I think they can do that in-house.
yeah. So I should add also that the three that we've had discussions with or contact with are all modular builders. Or they're all working with modular companies. Kasana was as far as I could tell from their proposal, was a stick built because they didn't
Yeah.
reference any modular company.
Yeah.
But that being said, they haven't contacted us, so that's that.
As you lose.
Yeah. Okay, next one is this is an issue that I just want to discuss. There's a Massachusetts law, I forget what it's called now, but I think I sent some paperwork out. And it essentially labels Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket and parts of the Cape as I forget the seasonal communities, I think is the right word. Among other things, what it lets them do is constrain their housing to workers. We've been struggling with this idea for a long time. Do we have to go out and put notices out to the entire state in order to let the entire state enter a lottery for our houses? This Massachusetts law, from a layperson's point of view, seems to constrain that and allow them to limit it, which I think would be great for us. So I only put this on here to discuss whether we want to ask the town and have the town subsequently ask a lobbyist about putting some kind of addendum into a law somewhere. I'm beyond. I haven't thought about this much. Whether we want to do that to try to get some special status for Rhode Island, just from a workforce housing point of view.
If it's called a seasonal community, are there any other restraints that would hinder anything?
Well, there's the.
But I would imagine.
Propose something, it would be different from theirs, but
Mhm.
sort of the same idea. So anyway, take a look at it. I think I sent a hard copy out. This is not something we have to decide tonight. I just want you to be aware of it and think about it. And Karen, do you have anything to say on that?
Well, possibly, yes. And the reason why I say possibly is I know there's a update that I'm gonna present to you next, which I believe does address the idea that you can do a lottery, and you probably want to include not just full-time residents, but also full-time employees in order to comply with the Rhode Island housing requirement for affordable housing. So I guess it's something I need to think about, whether you actually would need to go to a lobbyist or to change the state law, or if there just simply is no prohibition on doing it now. It seems as though, and we'll talk about it in a few minutes, that there are other towns that may already be doing this, but not in the sense of island community, more in the sense of just to comply with affordable housing requirements under the Rhode Island Fair Housing Act. You want to include like a split, and we'll talk about this in a few minutes. 80% full-time residents, 20% employees or something like that. So there may be a way to do it outside of the seasonal or the island community designation.
Well, that would be great. So, so with that in mind, if you just take a look at that law, if you, and if you have any thoughts about it, that would be great. But let me then go to the next bullet, and that's an update from Karen on some of the questions we've asked her. And this one in particular is how can we structure a lottery that, that inures to our benefit or the island's benefit as much as possible. So Karen?
Yeah, so I'll start with that one and then I'll run through the other questions. And certainly if you have any additional questions or thoughts, let me know. So I'll do a high level kind of answer to all the questions posed, and then we can go in deeper if you need to. So as to the restrictions, requirements on the lottery, there's no prohibition on conducting a lottery so long as you can imagine, it's not discriminatory and complies with Rhode Island Fair Housing. What does that mean? It means that any lottery that you conduct has to be put together in a way that avoids a preference for disproportionately disadvantaged or protected groups. And there's actually a case on that. So basically what you need to make sure that you're avoiding is any sort of local resident preferences that would disproportionately exclude protected classes. But so long and the way, again, to kind of circle back to what I was saying, the way to kind of protect against that is that, so if New Shoreham was a population of, and I'm making this up, I don't have the statistics, predominantly white middle class citizens, you want to make sure that a lottery for all citizens doesn't, just by virtue of doing a lottery, infringe on minority classes or disproportionately excluding minorities. So the way to do that, again, are you do 80% of the units are prioritized for residents, and the remaining 20% are open to all applicants. And that's just a way to protect the class and make sure that you're in compliance with fair housing. So again, no general prohibition. You just want to make sure that you're conscious of the Fair Housing Act and you take steps to structure your lottery in a way that isn't discriminatory.
So if I can clarify, the 80% is provided. Let me figure out how to ask this. We could limit it to island residents for 80%, provided that limitation does not result in an exclusion of a protected class.
I think the idea would be that versus doing a lottery of 100% to Block Island residents, you want to consider doing a lottery that is 80% residents, 20% open to all applicants. And we can talk about how that breakdown is of applicants in a minute. But the 100% to Block Island residents, period, stop, you got to make sure if you're doing that, that you're not disproportionately excluding protected classes. And that is going to depend on what the generally the town's population is. So my advice would be is to err on the side of caution and prepare a lottery that does say 80% for residents, 20% open to all applicants. Now, just note that resident is not currently defined. So that might be something that you want to do. I know that there are hints in other areas of the ordinance that talk about times of year that people are living on the island, but something to consider. You may want to think about, adding a definition to your ordinance so that it's clear. Let me see if there's anything else on that.
Would that be a definition in our housing board ordinance or
No, the town.
the town ordinance?
It could be, it depends on how you're structured. So I'd have to take a look at it. Certainly if there is a specific area in the housing board ordinance, you could put it there just for housing purposes. And just so it's easy to reference, if there's and Millie probably knows this off the top of her head, if there's another area, general definitions, in the general ordinances, also fine to put it there, but either way, if you want a reference to it for the housing board, would be my advice.
Got it. Yeah, I would prefer not to use the general definition that the town has, which is 9 months, but we can discuss that. But yeah, I understand. Thank you.
Yeah. something to
Karen,
think about.
we don't have any, I mean, as I understand it, we don't have any ordinances regarding housing board, in our ordinances. We do have our own bylaws, you know, we have our legislation, you know, our enabling legislation. So I'm not, but we could, you know, you could come up with the spot where that would belong appropriately.
Yeah, it's just about finding that appropriate.
Great.
I have a question.
Yes.
I just want to make sure I understood what you were saying about this lottery.
Mhm.
Okay, so we have a lottery and, you know, we'll just hypothetically restrict it 80%, say island residents, 20% to others, if I understood you correctly.
Sure.
When that lottery occurs, then we select people, but isn't it possible in the lottery process that you could select 100% island residents or 100% non-island residents, or do we in the process of evaluating them and putting them in the right bracket, then we pick the appropriate number from each bin so that we end up with 80% from the 80% pool and 20% from the 20% pool?
Yeah, I think
would
if I'm understanding the question correctly, yeah, the lottery aspect of it still stays random.
Yeah.
But the pool from which the lottery would pull from would be intentionally set up so that there was that split that we talked about. And to circle back to the question of island designation, you could also do when you do if you decide to do like an 80-20 split, if you don't, you know, we talk about that. But if you do, I guess in favor of local residents, you could also make that in favor of local residents and or employees. And we would need to talk about that further because you also have seasonal employees. So you would want to designate either full-time employees, or maybe you want to say employees who have, you know, a job lined up, but haven't yet started work. You know, there are ways that we would need to think about that. But certainly other towns are already implementing that sort of a lottery setup.
And would, just throwing out there about the work we did with planning, would planning be a venue or mechanism for establishing these percentages to the planning department or committee? Whatever they're called. Sorry. Is that where that you think this might be a good place to put that language?
No, I think the language I'm thinking about would be just strictly something as a definition that would
Okay.
have to go before your planning board for recommendation to the town council. But the lottery and the 80-20 and all that, that's all within your purview when you set up the lottery. No need for the planning board.
Okay, thank you.
And
Any other
wait,
questions on that one?
not pulling from one group, right?
Forgive me, I had trouble hearing. the
Not,
first-
oh wait, I turned it off,
There you
sorry.
are. That's better.
We don't have to do 80-20. You could do 100 as long as it's diverse.
Correct. So you want to confirm that the population, you wanted to do 100% New Shoreham. Somebody just needs to do a check to make sure that the pool that you're pulling from isn't disproportionate to any one group.
Right.
Correct.
So, yeah, I don't think that would be an issue. I mean,
I agree.
yeah, so that's what I understood, is how she said it, as long as we can do 100%, as long as it's a diverse, it's not
I
just
agree.
all one class.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, or all, you know, middle class white, or, you know,
it's just going to be really tough. You know, it's called a lottery and you pull these people at random and it turns out, well, it is a, you know, very elegant subset and very high percentage of one, I'll say, type of person, then would we be accused of,
I think
that.
I think that's where our job comes in.
Yeah.
Before we are at the lottery point, I think it's our job as a board and members of the community to to educate people on what they can and can't do with this. Like, there are a lot of people that probably think they can't do this, but they can. So that's our job, to show them that with their income out here and their status out here, that they can do this. They can buy this if they want. And if they're not stuck in this, that if a house comes up someday, that they can actually sell this. And, it's our job to educate people and make them realize that they can do it.
Yeah, on that point, there's a new program in Rhode Island that we'll need to educate folks on too. It's
Yeah.
a low interest program for
Yeah.
first-time home buyers. So,
I mean, I think that is gonna help with the whole diverse part of the 100%.
Yeah.
Because I do think we don't want people to be intimidated that they can't do it.
Okay, got it.
what do you have for us next?
So the next question that was asked was about whether the housing board can sell the units to the town, the school board, or another public entity. And the answer to that is yes. You can sell the units to a public entity. If you would want, or the buyer would want the units to count towards the town's 10% affordable requirement, the units simply just have to meet the same eligibility, income restriction, deed restriction standards that would apply to other qualifying units. So no surprise there, no prohibition. Any questions on that?
Thank you.
Moving on.
Can you do it in phases? Like let's say we have them finished and we go through the lottery and it's all residents, but then, there aren't enough people to sell all of them. Could we then see if a town entity or someone else wanted it? Could we offer it for the residents first? And then if they don't sell, then, do you know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah.
we don't want to kick two people out right?
Yeah, you don't have to, you can sell, unit by unit. You don't have to have
Okay.
a promise buyer ahead of time.
I would hate for two people not to get them because someone else, you know what I mean?
I don't know.
Like, if we had enough people, then that would be great.
Yeah, but if we had housing for teachers supply, we might.
Yeah. I think we have to, yeah. But maybe one of the teachers, yeah. I see both sides of it, really.
What a teacher could be.
One of the candidates.
Right.
But I think the point is to have housing so that teachers can move in and out. I think the point is not everyone wants to own. Sometimes a teacher only wants to be here for 3 years, because they're an amazing teacher and then they're moving on from there. Or maybe they were in South America first and came here for 2 years to teach the kids stuff and then want to leave, So
But it's
I think what we're trying to do is not make it permanent housing, because that's some of the housing projects that happened in the past. It didn't really help because it became permanent. They're living there forever. Some of it has to be movable because that's the way the island is.
So I think it sounds like the board can be flexible in how it wants to address that.
Yes, just generally speaking.
Thank you.
You can sell to a public entity. And if you do want it to count towards the 10% affordable requirement that the town has, it just has to involve the usual requirement. No surprise there.
Okay.
Okay. The next question was on the 140% AMI as an eligibility cap. As I'm sure you know, New Shoreham is expressly exempted from certain things under Rhode Island General Law 43, that's 128-8.1. That is a carve out from the general statewide income limits and other things specifically for New Shoreham. And that law does provide that it says shall include households whose adjusted gross income is less than 140% of the residents' median income adjusted for family size. So 140% or less, less than 140% is the requirement for Block Island under your carve out law.
Okay, thank you.
Monitoring requirements were also inquired about. And I think we talked about this a little bit before. Monitoring is definitely required when you're using state or federal monies. The obligation generally doesn't come just from using the money, but it does, it generally always does come up under the funding agreements, or regulations. It's not necessarily a state law requirement. But when you're using those kind of monies, the documents you sign usually do require some sort of monitoring. And the purpose of monitoring really is just used to enforce the restriction requirements on the affordable unit. The idea is that that in turn helps to protect the town's ability to count those units in its 10% affordable requirement. So any sort of monitoring really is going to be checking on, ensuring on compliance with deed restrictions, regulations, things like that. You probably also know as well, the state created an approved monitoring agent program, which is readily available online for additional information there. Using the approved monitoring agent through the state isn't mandatory, but the program does provide a resource, not only information about monitoring, but resources for finding agencies who will do it. That's
Okay,
it.
thank you. Any questions, discussion? Okay, thanks, Karen.
Thank
Really-
you.
Really appreciate that. That was very helpful.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 8, does anyone have anything on, well, no, yeah, I'm gonna, before we go into closed session, I'll just ask, does anyone want to pursue anything on item number 8? No,
Is there a closed session?
well, we haven't started one yet, but I'm just, can't, it's on there.
Number 8.
Yeah, that's the issue, yeah. No, no. Yeah,
I don't know.
only if someone has something to discuss.
Oh, no.
Okay, then I am going to make a motion to adjourn this housing board meeting. All in favor? Aye.